back to College Conversations. I'm Dr. Fedor, and I help you navigate college. Please remember to hit subscribe and share this video with others who also might find them useful. In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips about how to excel in a group project. For some students, it may have been a while since they've been asked to work in a group on a project, and for other students, you may have several group projects, team projects each semester. The overall trend in the workplace is to have more group and projects be assigned as a team. So because of the complex nature of our modern economy, this is just the trend that it's going. So that's great news if you naturally excel at group work, but if it doesn't come naturally to you, here are some tips that will hopefully help you out. So my first tip, number one, don't be afraid to proactively take a leadership role with content area that you're very familiar with or areas that you're an expert with. So for example, if your strength is graphic design, then offer to do the visuals for the project. If your strength is English and proofreading, offer to proofread all the slides and the final paper. If your strength is finance, offer to write the outline for the business plan. So this is a case where you want to play to your strengths, and hopefully within your group, you'll each have different strengths and you can divide up the work somewhat along those lines. During the forming stage of group formation, this is when the students get to know each other and you each kind of say, what your area is and what you're good at, and I don't mind doing this, and that usually is how that takes place. You don't want to get halfway through the project and have somebody say to you, you didn't tell me you were a certified life coach or whatever, if that's relevant to the project. That would have been helpful. You don't want that to happen. So in the beginning forming stage is when everybody sort of offers up their strengths. Tip number 2, establish the rules of engagement, so to speak. So very early on, decide when you're going to meet, what time, and how, whether you're meeting on Zoom or you're meeting in person. And then make sure that everyone has access to that technology that you'll be using for the meetings and also for note-taking and collaboration. You could use doodle.com to send out an email in the beginning to say, okay, we need to set our first, meeting date or something. And then after that, decide what you're going to do, what makes sense going forward. You don't want to get too far into the project and then realize, the people that really need to work on this part, they don't have that technology. So you want to pay attention to that early on. Maybe you need to make a Gantt chart of what parts of the project need to be completed and by when, and share that with everyone. For example, you don't want to make a draft on a Prezi and then the end result that you need to turn in is a PowerPoint. So don't get too far along with something and then say, well, wait a minute, we need to turn in X and we've been, working in Y. So pay attention to that early on. Otherwise, you'll end up doing the work twice and nobody wants that to happen. And so it's better to talk about all those things in the beginning. Tip number 3, during the group meetings, try to make a point to listen and consider everybody else's ideas. Don't just be, putting forth and promoting your own ideas. That will help make the project better, more diverse and more robust and substantial. And also your group mates will like you better and you will be regarded as a team player and an effective collaborator, which is what you want. And that's always positive. So try to make a point to listen to everybody else's ideas. Tip number 4, if your goal is to create a PowerPoint as a group, for example, try to divide the work up by the expected time it takes to complete a section and not necessarily the number of slides. I've seen this happen a lot where groups spend a lot of time on their section and then the results of it are only 2 slides or something, and people say, well, you only did 2 slides and we did 4. You have to think about it in terms of, well, how long did it take to produce the content that went onto those slides? Sometimes a giant amount of work goes into 1 slide's worth of content. So you need to be mindful of that when you try to divide up the work and try to be as evenly as possible. And tip number 5, if you have time, help out your other teammates with their section. You can always email the instructor later on if you think a group member was slacking off on purpose, if it was intentional. But other than that, you need to get the work done by the due date. So a lot of times that means pitching in, helping your other teammates finish up their portion of the project, and doing that all for the good of the whole team, and hopefully everyone gets the project in on time. So good luck with all of your group projects. Leave a comment below and let me know the highs and the lows of working with your group. And please remember to hit subscribe so I can continue to bring you these helpful videos and share them with people who also might find them useful. And remember to keep learning.